All right, welcome everybody to today's workshop. We're going to be talking about higher versus lower rates, creating a plan to raise your rates with Amandine here today. And she's going to introduce herself in just a minute. But whether you're watching on the actual workshop here on Zoom or streaming via YouTube, go ahead and ask any of your questions in the chat. If you want to get on to the Zoom and have the real discussion, I'll put a link in the YouTube chat so you can see how to access that in the Society Gal Academy. So we'd love to have you on here to receive mentorship right from the guest speaker, right from our experts that are on these workshops. So thank you, Amandine, for coming here today and leading this workshop. You go ahead and get started and introduce yourself, and we can't wait to hear from you.
Okay, thank you, Dana. Thank you for having me. My name is Amandine Steppe. I'm the founder of Next House of Luxury Branding that I created in 2018. And I am a luxury branding expert, and I help my clients, usually female CEO, to turn their successful businesses into iconic and timeless luxury brands. So today I'm really excited to talk about pricing, higher versus lower rates, because it's usually a big topic, whether you are starting your business than when you are already experienced, because pricing is always like the core of the business. So I'm really excited to talk about this today. So what we will see today, the first point is how lower and higher rates affect the client quality and your business growth. The second point is that it's really important to understand the difference between transactional and transformational client relationship that we can have. And the third point is that we will decide whether lower or higher rates are right for your business. So let's deep dive into the subject and start with the lower rates. So as you can see, there are pros and cons by doing lower rates. So in the cons, you have the fact that it may undervalue your skills. It can also lead you to burnout from overwork by doing a lot of offers in order to reach your financial goals. And it can also hinder long-term business sustainability. In the pros, lower rates allow you to increase accessibility to a broader range of clients. It can also help you to buy experience quickly, especially if you are starting your business. And this is the third point. So it is great to start your business with lower rates. It can help you to begin your activity. Sorry. For the higher rates, the cons are that usually it's a really longer and really deep sales cycles. It can take longer time, and sometimes you can feel by practicing higher rates that it's more difficult, but it's not. It's just different and longer. It can also narrow your market with a limited client base. The more your prices are higher, the less your market is. The less your market is. So it's a choice that you need to make at the beginning of your activity, and it's a conscious choice. It also requires delivering exceptional values and having high expectations clients. So you really need to know that while taking your decision about your rates. And in the pros, obviously there is less competition. Having higher rates is also a sign that you are offering huge quality, you are having a lot of expertise, and your offers are exclusive. And having higher rates allow you also to focus on few clients with higher budget, which is another way to work in comparison to lower rates. What's happening when you have misaligned prices? First, you may attract wrong clients because when you have a lower price, you can attract clients who do not value your work or who are not the right fit with what you are offering, and this can lead to an unsatisfactory experience. It can also lead you to burnout because you can be forced to take too many clients and at the end being burned out. It can also lead you to a kind of race to the bottom, and having misaligned pricing can devalue the industry you're working on, and it's really difficult to raise rates in the future, especially if you start with really, really low rates. And then it can also lead to inconsistent income and unpredictable income, making financial planning really difficult. So now I invite you to think about what kind of relationship you want to have with your clients. And I really want to be precise on that. There is no good positioning. I'm not here to say to you that even if my business is positioned in the luxury field, I'm not here to tell you that there is a good positioning and a bad positioning. You can position your business where you want, and the goal is just to be aligned with that. You can do low cost, you can do mainstream, you can do premium, you can do luxury, and that's totally okay. What is also really important is to understand that there is the transactional relationship that you can have with your clients versus the transformational one. Having a transformational relationship with your clients help you make the difference on your market, because as you are offering a transformational relationship and a transformational offer, you are including in this offer your values, your big mission, your expertise, your experience, and no one can have that because you're the only one having the life you had and the experience you had and the expertise you had from all these years. And this leads you to a place where there is no competition. It also enables you to invest more time and resources in order to create a deeper and more meaningful transformation for your clients. And to finish, it also leads you to create a sustainable and more scalable business growth, reducing the need to constantly seek new clients, which is absolutely amazing to my point of view. But I let you judge. What is also really important is to emphasize to your clients the value you can offer through your business. And all these informations that you see on the screen can be put on your sales page, for example, on your website, on your social networks. And this is really important for your client to understand what's happening if they use your business. What would be their transformation? Who would they become? And what would their life look like? And it's the same if they don't use your service. What would be the opportunity cost? What negative consequences you are helping them to prevent? And what would their life look like without you, or without the offer you are selling? And what is really interesting here is that the column, if they use your service, is more for higher rates offer. And if they don't use your service, are usually the things that you put on your sales page when you are offering low cost and mainstream offers. So now, what are the next steps? First step is to price your offer according to your unique values and capabilities. The second step is to make a plan to raise your rates as your experience increases. And then to consistently understand your clients and what they need in order to improve your offers and then to increase your prices. So the first discussion here could be, how do you currently determine your pricing strategy, and do you lean more toward higher or lower rates, and why? Do you want to answer to that question, Warren?
Yeah, so like how I determine my prices is like who my client is, or if they've came back before. If it's like if it's an ongoing client, I'm more likely to maybe raise their prices if they ask for more versus a new client. I may uh, their prices or their rates may be lower.
Okay. And how do you position your business, Rowan? Are you more into low cost, mainstream, premium, luxury? How do you position it?
Um,
Rowan has a product-based business, so she does baked goods and treats and stuff like that, which is awesome.
yeah, yeah, so to answer that question, it kind of depends where I'm at. If I'm at a farmer's market or if I'm just at a real estate office or just selling them to my clients that have ordered something.
Okay.
Yeah, for the photo and video business that I own, when we determine pricing strategy, I think it's such a big, like we discussed already, it's such a big question, or it's such a big there's not just one way to do it, right? There's not just one thing that contributes to a pricing strategy. For example, um, I'm in the creative field, so photo and video, the value put on that is very different, let's say, compared to like a product based business, as far as pricing goes, right? And so when it comes to a creative field like photo video, uh, yes, there's the gear, yes, there's the business expenses, like the basic expenses that actually you could see money being pulled out of that, right? But then there's a whole other part of how people perceive that piece of art. I think that's with anything though, how people perceive photography or video and how that's their priority for them. Um, and when we're talking about raising prices, right, it's I think one of the biggest things when it comes to that is the confidence behind and the skill set behind and the development of excellence behind that pricing strategy that really, pushes it up, right? Gets it up there to a different type of client, to a different market. And so, with a skill set like photography or video, right, you have to have a good skill set. You have to be good at what you do. And you have to be great at it, excellent at it. And the more you do it, the more experience you receive and so forth. And therefore, you're pushing yourself up in the market if you choose to. And some people do not, and that's okay. But you're able to, you have the ability to push yourself up into the market and to bring in different clients. So it's just so difficult, I think, with something like a photography or video when it's not so direct. I think that's with anything though, with any service, with any product, it doesn't seem as direct as we think it does. And we can, we also look at the market around us, right? At what other people are doing. But there's also, it depends on what market you're in. So we look at the market around us, the market above us, the market below us, and what do we need to get to, what do we need to do, right? What do we need to do to get to the market higher than us, right? Maybe a premium market, maybe a luxury market. What do we need to do? What connections do we need to have? What does our brand need to look like or say or speak to that type of client? What's that type of client in that market? So I think when it comes to pricing strategy for us, it's more about asking ourselves those questions of this is what we want. What do we need to do to get there? And understanding the other market where the pricing lies, because every market's so different. And I know you could speak to that, Amandine, of every market is so different as far as how you navigate that market, how you act in that market, how you understand that market, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And to me, it's also a deep desire that you have inside. Not everybody is made to do luxury, and not everybody want to do luxury. You have some people who are just looking for really simple and standardized offers, and they are okay with that, and they are okay with the fact that they will need to constantly find new clients, and they are having a huge volume of clients. You have some people who who are doing only online products. Even in the photography, you can have people who are, even if they are photographers, they are more into offering like online course about photography in order to help a lot of people taking pictures as a professional photographer. And maybe they are doing the same amount of money with super low rates because they have a high volume of followers and everything. And again, not everybody is made to create one-on-one offers, tailor-made offers. Some people don't have the desire to do that, and that's absolutely okay. The goal is just to be sure that you and your business are at the right place and that you are conscious of what your positioning is involving into your business. If you are doing online courses about photography and taking photographies like a professional, and if you are sending this online course at $29, for example, you must be conscious that you will have a really different job to do behind. And before selling it, maybe you will have to create a lead magnet. Maybe you will have to produce a lot of content that a photographer in luxury event, for example, will not have to do. And it's just different strategy. And the goal is to define and to determine what is the best strategy for what you want to do and your positioning.
Yeah. I love how you said, almost how you said, what does it mean to you, right? Like, what is, you know, at your current pricing or the pricing you want to be, what does that mean to you in your life, right? Because, you know, your current pricing strategy could be burning you out, right? If you're getting high volume, you're doing too much work, there's a sign you need to raise your prices, right? You're consistently having mental health days because you barely handle your business. That's a really great reflection to say, well, what is this meaning to me right now? Like, is this pricing strategy working for me? Is it serving me in my business, in my life, in my business? Is it serving my clients if I'm charging this much? Or do I not have the capacity to actually serve my clients if I'm not charging at their certain price, right? So for us personally in our business, it's definitely, you know, how can we serve our clients in the best way possible, right? And do we have the income? Does that package price reflect or allow us to do that? Does it like allow us to be totally creative? Does it allow us to put, you know, have this luxury engagement session experience with 2 outfits and 2 locations and photo and video? Does it allow us to do that? And we have to be at a certain price point for us to be able to do that comfortably and creatively. And so I love that. Is I think it's the biggest takeaway from what you're saying is just what does that mean to you in your life? And is it serving you? If it's not, then it's time to reassess that pricing strategy and get yourself in a place that you feel good and balanced in your business. So I love that.
Yeah, and I don't know if we can say that in American, but in French, we say nothing is never engraved in the marble. And what it means, for example, is that if you are starting your business with low rates, imagine you are a coach and you are only doing like lead magnets and online group programs that are really affordable. Nothing can stop you by at one moment in your business and with all the experience you had, you can absolutely create like a one-on-one service with a higher rates because you are doing one-on-one that you will increase your rates. And it's not because you are doing these low rates for the mass that you cannot offer like 1 or 2 one-on-one spots really specific in order to make a kind of high level offer in order to work with people like in a more exclusive way. So yes, your main activity can be low rates, but you can create few spots maybe at one moment in your activity because you have the desire to do that, and that's totally okay. Again, that's okay. You can do whatever you want with your business. You just need to be aligned with it. Do you want to add something, Rowan?
No, you pretty much answered all the questions I was going to ask.
Yeah, and when you talk about, do you lean more towards higher or lower rates and why? I think that, you know, starting out, lower rates, that's just where you start, is the low rates. I mean, it's just part of the experience and the process to get clients and to understand your clients and to, understand your services and your expertise and to develop that. And that makes a lot of sense. Um, and I think it's the next step is the harder step, is when you're trying to go from your low rates and high volume to then having to raise them and understand a whole different market. I think that transition is one of the hardest things to do in business when you want to raise your rates and to get into a different market, and you have to do a lot of work to understand what the next market looks like and what those clients look like. And I think we're going to talk about that next, but I think one of the hardest things is to transition from that. And a lot of people stay in the low rates for way too long, or way too long, where it's hurting your business or hurting your quality of life when we're in a lower rate for too long. And I think when we're talking about the next discussion, we're going to understand, give some reflection on all of us on like, are we ready for the next step? Are we ready to transition? But we can go to the next discussion.
Yeah. So the discussion number 2 is, have you experienced any challenges with misaligned pricing, and how did it affect your business and client relationships? So if you want, I can start with that. When I started my business in 2018, someone reached out to me because it was a guy who wanted to have a kind of marketing help, like for 2 days per week, on a long-term contract. And I was so excited about that, because a long-term contract, it was the first time that a client was coming to me with that kind of offer, and I was really excited. And the only thing that I saw with that contract was the safety that can bring to me as a new entrepreneur. And I made a huge mistake at that time, and I realized it really quickly. It's that I did not make the contract according to the value that I was bringing, but according the money I wanted in order to reach my previous employee salary. And so I realized really quickly that I priced so low, and it was so under the value as I was bringing, and I wasn't able at that time to put boundaries. So even if I was only planned to work like 2 days per week for that guy, he was asking me a lot all week long, and almost 24/7 per day. It was awful. And I think that I priced something like maybe 600 euros at that time, which is about the same in dollars, for 2 days per week. So that was incredibly low. And I realized really quickly that I was frustrated because I was delivering a lot, and I was absolutely not aligned with that contract. And so I wanted first to continue because I felt like grateful for this guy to give me my chance. And at the same time, I felt so frustrated that I decided like a few months later just to stop the contract and end it, because it was not sustainable at all. And I couldn't just continue the contract in the way that I was doing it at that time. And the frustration was maybe stronger than the fear of lack and the fear of not having the money I needed. And I decided to stop it. And from that moment, I really changed the way that I was pricing my offers and doing my contracts, because it makes me feel like, yeah, I had a work to do on me and the value that I was bringing to my clients, and to price, how to price my offers in my business. So yeah, it was really impactful for me and really frustrating. Did something happen to you, Rowan?
Yeah, so since I'm product based, I'm always watching on like if the flour or the eggs or if like any of like the chocolate chips or the chocolate cocoa goes up. So like so like depending on what you get, my prices can be different, or sometimes I look at the wrong cookie and I give you the wrong price. So then I'm like, sorry, I gave you the wrong pricing because I looked at the wrong cookie. But luckily, since all my clients are family and friends, they're usually always pretty easy and forgiving if I have to change the amount on them. So I don't know if I answered that the questions right.
Yeah, and that's really interesting what you are saying, because we see that when you are on a product-based business, and especially when the prices are moving from higher to lower for the ingredients, for example, that you are using, we can see that it's really interesting to see that when you are doing higher rates, these fluctuations between lower and higher prices of the things that you're using to create your products, the influence is less important when you are doing higher rates instead of when you are doing lower rates. And it's the same, I imagine, for like restaurants who have Michelin stars, you know, who are practicing really high rates, because when you are doing a 5-course menu at maybe $800, if the prices of the fish is just like moving, who cares? It's not moving enough to make the price of the menu change. But if you have really low rates, and if you are doing like maybe a $15 menu, and if the prices of the meat or the potatoes or anything is moving a lot, it can completely break your margins and maybe ruin your turnover. So that's really interesting also to see how it can have an influence on what you are doing and on the positioning of your business.
Yeah.
Dana, do you want to add something?
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to misaligned pricing, oof, I feel like we've all had such, everyone's had a bad experience or a certain experience with misaligned pricing.
Absolutely.
And I think one of the biggest things I think that you talk about, Amandine, a lot is the, you know, the price doesn't reflect the service that you're providing. It's either too low for the service you're providing or it's too high for the service you're providing. And I think that's something that we just don't realize that's the problem when it comes to positioning our pricing or having misaligned pricing. Is sometimes I've had this experience where, you know, you up your price so high that you're just not there yet as far as like the actual experience. And that to understand that even if you are going to raise your prices, it does take time to get to that point where you're getting clients at that price. I think market change is like one of the hardest things for our company too, is to raise the prices and to feel good in that price, but also to have patience to have the clients at that price point and stay there and confidently stay there. I think there's so many times where we've raised prices and then gone back down because we had that fear of not booking clients. And that in of itself is bad in a brand, to be always changing your prices up and down, up and down. And that unsurety, the energy of unsurety, definitely gives off in a business. And so I think one of the biggest things I learned from misaligned pricing is if you're going to commit to raising your prices, commit to it, right? Don't, you know, raise your prices, really make sure that you raising your prices feels good. There's lots of reasons to, like, it's a good, thoughtful choice that you are going to raise it to a certain point, and you have a plan behind the price raising of why, you know, I'm raising this price and what's behind this price raising, right? What's the plan? What are my goals? What are my milestones? So that you're committed to this price, because I think that can be really easy to fall into, is raising prices, going back down the next week, raising prices, going back down the next month, because you're not seeing clients. But when you commit to that and you make a plan towards that, you'll see clients are just going to take time, and it's that patience with pricing that's so worth it when you do get that first client at that price, knowing that, okay, I did it once, I can do it again. Even looking at evidence in the past of when you raised your prices, seeing that you got clients every time you raised your prices, right? And looking at that evidence and reassurance to this new next step. But I think especially when you're getting up higher in the market, it's very hard to, and you're leaving kind of maybe your friends that are in the same market or people similar to you in a certain market where you know, they're all down there and it looks like they're doing great. And you're like, oh, you're doing great down there. I want to stick with you. But you know, again, when you have that surety of what you need as a business, as a person, with your personal life, with your balance in your life, with what your business needs, when you stay focused on that, that's when that pricing really aligns. And your energy behind it. I think you talk about that a lot, Amandine, is that energy behind it, that what it means, right? That passion, that meaning of why you're doing what you're doing and not just raising it because you want more money. That's always a bad reason to raise your prices. Is like, I'm going to get more money because my price is going to raise $1,000. And so I think I love that. What's behind you raising your prices, and if it's misaligned, right? What is, what is happening? Where's the actual misalignment? Because the clients that you receive from misaligned pricing are, again, you don't want to work with them for a long term because they're misaligned and it's not worth it.
Absolutely.
And sorry, I was going to expand on the last question. I don't know if you wanted to expand on that one, but the discussion 3 or discussion 2, discussion 2.
I'm back.
How did it affect your business and client relationships? Yeah, I think just expanding on that part of we're booking, I've booked somebody that just, it was a good price and they booked quickly, but from that initial call, I just knew that's just not my ideal client. It's almost as if I was doing it just because I needed the money. And that when you do things out of, I just need the money, often they're just not good experiences. For me, they've never been good experiences when I'm just like, oh, money came through, opportunity and money came through at this lower price, right at a price I don't want to be at. And it's quick and it's ready to go. And most often it doesn't work out well, or it's not a really great experience. And it reminds me of why I don't want to be in that relationship with a client. And so I think it's always good learning experiences to feel that, like, how is your client relationship feeling? And that really plays into part with your pricing, is like, okay, is this client relationship fulfilling? Why wasn't it fulfilling? What was my energy like when I in my marketing, or how I attracted them in this situation, or my sales, like how did I, how are my sales in this point? And it all plays in the part of, okay, maybe my energy wasn't in the right place to attract this client, and realizing how powerful our energy is when it comes to sales, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to pricing, and how we show up as a business owner. So I just want to expand on that of how important it is to be behind your pricing, because it affects client relationships so greatly as well.
Yeah. And what is also interesting is that sometimes you need to change your prices and you need to increase your prices, not because you feel that you are pricing too low, but sometimes because you feel that you are attracting the wrong persons. And I had some clients who are coach, and they realized that not because they were earning not enough money to live, but because they were having clients who were not the targeted clients they wanted to have. Like, for example, people who were not committed enough, people who were like asking like so many informations before paying a super low rate. And sometimes it's not for you. The price is okay, but the person you are attracting with that price, it's not okay. So you need to recalibrate your prices in order to attract the right person. And in coaching, I saw that a lot. And you also that the more people are paying, the more they are involved in the coaching, and the more they are committed to get the success they want when they are coming to see you for a coaching session. And that's also a sign when you are attracting the wrong person, that maybe your prices are misaligned with what you are offering.
Yeah. And there's one YouTube comment from YouTube that says, due to economic challenges, most ideal clients weren't willing to spend for my higher rates. What would you respond to that, Amandine?
Can you repeat the question, please?
It's in the chat too, but due to economic challenges, most ideal clients weren't willing to spend for my higher rates.
That's not an easy question, because we all hear about economic challenges, but to me, it's more a question of priorities. And you have a lot of to me, price is never it's never the real point when a person is telling you, I'm sorry, that's too expensive. Because usually if the same person is not able to invest like maybe $1,500 to work with you, but if tomorrow this person just break his iPhone, the person will go to the Apple store and the person will buy the iPhone, maybe cash or maybe with a credit, who knows. Why? Just because the iPhone is more valuable at that time and more important at that time in their life. So to me, the question must be, how can I make people buy with my higher rates offers, but maybe what kind of people can buy my higher rates offers? And maybe it's not you, maybe you are not in front of the right person, or yeah, maybe you need to improve what you are writing on your sales page or on your when you are selling the product. But to me, honestly, it's never a matter of economic yeah. To me, it's not that, because if the person is breaking his iPhone, maybe tomorrow the person will be to the app store and paying cash. So yeah, it's more what you are. It's more about storytelling. It's more about ideal client in front of you. And
yeah, I love that. It's all about priorities of the client. And you know, if someone can't do it, there's always another person that can. There's so much abundance, so much abundance of people that would want to purchase your service if you make it, you know, if you make it a priority to the person. But there's also just some people that it's not going to work out, and that's okay. We have to, I think we also have to have that no, you know, we need to know that not every client's going to book our services or purchase what we have or anything like that. I think when we kind of stick to, okay, every single person, you know, if they start a conversation with me, they must need my service or want my service. But I think there's people that your marketing, your brand will deter people, right? It'll deter the people that are not going to be right for you or will not be ready for your service. And there will always be people that are ready with your service. And like you said, Amandine, if you're not seeing a lot of people that are ready, it's a shift in your brand, right? It's a shift in your brand and how you're marketing and how you're selling and how you're positioning your service to be a priority to that person, because it's all about priorities. Someone will spend thousands of dollars on shoes if they love their shoes. Someone will spend, you know, $50,000 on a car and live in an apartment if that's what their priorities are, right? It's just everyone has different priorities, and they'll make it happen if it's a priority to them. So I love that.
yeah,
awesome.
And just to take an example, don't forget that if you are selling a bottle of water at maybe $200, it's a bottle of water at $200. But if you are not in front of the right person, nobody will buy your bottle. If you are selling it at Walmart, maybe nobody will buy it. But if you are selling it at Saint-Tropez on a private beach with a nice DJ and people who are buying maybe $5,000 bottle of champagne, a bottle of water at $200, it's absolutely okay. And so don't forget that there is no right or wrong prices. You just need to be in front of the right person. That's it. And when you will find your people, your tribe, you can do whatever you want, because there is a market for everything. There is a market for everybody. And if you are in front of the right person, to me, there is no problem after that. And now, discussion number 3. So what steps can you take to better align your pricing with the value you provide to your clients? So this is a really interesting one. It's a really interesting one because to me, there are a lot of informations that you need to have in order to align this price with the value that you provide. And the first one is really not a technical one. To me, it's a real intuition. It's a feeling. You really need to feel inside of you that the price is aligned. And how do you do that? Just feel it. Like, maybe you can have thrills, or maybe it can contract into your belly when you are announcing the price and when you are doing your quote for your clients. But you really need to feel at the time you are doing that proposal for your client that that's a good price. That's a good price for the value that I am delivering, for the work that I am doing. And for me, it's really important that you cannot feel the fear while doing your quote, for example. I don't know if I'm clear and if you know what I mean, but doing a quote, for example, with the fear of lack or the fear of not having the contract will not lead you to something successful, because even if the contract is signed, you will have the frustration that I had when I signed this famous client I had. And so really, the first sign is a kind of internal alignment with what you are proposing. And to give you an example, when I started my business in 2018, I had a call with a coach and she told me something. She told me, okay, imagine someone is asking you a quote for that specific service. How much do you want to price? So I gave the price, and the woman was like, okay, now you add a 0 at the end. How do you feel? And I was like, oh my God, this is so scary. And she was like, yes, but do you feel anything else? And I was like, yeah, it's scary, but it's also exciting. And it's also really challenging. And I would be so proud to price at that level. And she was like, what is preventing you from doing that? And I was like, maybe because I don't feel legitimate, and maybe I have the kind of imposter syndrome because I'm starting the work and my company. And she was like, maybe try to divide the price, maybe by 2, or I don't know, but find a great figure between the first price you wanted to offer and the price with a 0 at the end. And she said, maybe this is the good price because it's at the same time scary, but at the same time exciting and challenging. And this could be the right price for you. And as we are a lot of women here, what is also really important, and I would always remember what she said to me that usually women are less paid than men in companies. But even when we are business owners, women are pricing less than men for the same work and at the same level of competence. So this is really important to not undervalue our work and to price the right way, even if it's challenging or scary. And just to continue with the different steps that you can take to align your prices and increase your prices, in my career, what I usually did was that I was planning to raise my rates. So usually every 6 months or every year. And I was doing that by warning my clients and my audience that I was about to raise my price like in a month. So I was usually doing, email campaign, and it was leading into new contracts because people wanted to work with me before I was raising my prices. And the other moment I was raising my prices was where I was having a lot of clients. And usually I was having a waiting list. And usually when I start having a waiting list, to me, it's the moment to raise my prices. So this is another moment where you can do that.
Love that. Do you want to go back a few slides to the questions? It's the few more, it's back in the lesson. I think it's one more. Yeah. Oh wait, this one. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I think I love how you talked about like the feeling you have behind prices, like not something that's like crazy insane, but something that feels like a challenge. I think that's a really good one and it feels good, but not insane. Feeling right behind it. And asking yourself, why does it feel that way? Or, how, what's my plan to kind of feel more comfortable in this pricing range? But I also love, this point of the lecture, which was understanding the value you offer. And these questions are a really great place to start with your plan when it comes to actually creating that price, is to feel confident behind that pricing, but you have to understand what you offer and the value you offer so that you know that you're a priority to people out there and that you can be. So, for example, if they use your service, what would be their transformation? Who would they become? What would their life look like? If they do not use your service, what would be the opportunity cost? What would they lose out on, right? What negative consequences are you helping them prevent? And then what would their life look like if they did not? And so it really puts you in a place of if they do not use this service, what will happen? And being really clear about that these questions really help you understand like the service, right? That you are serving, and serving is right, helping someone change their life, helping someone transform their life, helping someone, with maybe Rowan, helping someone find joy in a sweet treat or something that makes their day because they have like a yummy cookie that they got from Rowan, or a cake pop, making a kid's day by getting a cake pop from Rowan. And so you bring joy to someone's life, you transform someone's life, whether big or small, and we have to understand what we do can do that, right? And so when we understand that in a deeper way, and we understand our clients and the transformations that happen with what we offer, then our prices, when we do make those pricing changes, it feels a lot better, and we feel more confident in that. And I think one thing else you were saying, Amandine, was when we were talking about creating a plan for your pricing, make a plan. Like there's not just, we don't just sit here and look for signs and we're like, when will I feel right to raise my prices, right? Maybe I'll feel it, right? Maybe it's just going to come to me, right? No, I think it's really important that, you look at a year. Okay, every quarter or every 6 months, I'm going to raise my prices, and this is how I'm going to and why I'm going to, and literally make a plan of what the price will be and what your plan is, the steps, the tasks, the projects that will need to happen to support that price raising. Because when there's a plan in place, there's no like second guessing of like, should I raise my price? Should I not raise my price? We can't just go off of feeling. And that comes like feminine energy too, with a lot of us women. We go a lot off of our feminine energy, which is just like feeling it. Like, let's just feel it. Let's just feel what it feels like. And we got to bring in more of that masculine energy, which is that plan, that logistics, that logic of, yes, we don't want to, maybe we don't want to be all that, but we do need to have some kind of plan and structure. And there's so much more confidence in raising our prices when we have that plan. Like Amandine said, she'll announce it to her audience, she'll let them know. But it's really more so for yourself of what is my plan? I'm going to get here. This is my milestone to get there. And at this date, the price is raising. I'm going to feel confident in raising my prices because I did the work to get there. And I think that really helps us become excellent in what we do when we make a plan to do that. And there's meaning behind it in our life and our business. So I just want to give those two things of, really understanding the value and your clients and their transformations, understanding them, and the value offer, and then making a really concrete plan to do so. And it can be very, very simple to do that. Make the big goal, break it down into smaller projects and tasks and milestones to make it happen. So anything else you want to discuss for this last question?
Do you have any question, Rowan?
Yes, so like when I like go to like farmers markets, or if I do a pop-up shop, I just make however many dozen of whatever, versus if I versus like if I'm hired to do like an engagement party or bridal shower, I know that cost, so I know what I'm selling versus like a farmer's market or a pop-up shop. I don't really know my total amount until I'm done.
Yeah. Have you ever, so do you ever have like goals with how many you want to sell or anything?
But like when I do like farmers markets or pop-ups, I usually make an assortment of like two dozen of different things. So, and versus like a versus this I'm hired out for a party, I don't know really what I make what they want until we get to that part of the discussion. Oh, I want X amount of this, X amount of this. So
yeah, and I think it's good. I mean, it's good every time you do an engagement party or every time you do a farmer's market, right? You're going to be able to see the numbers of what's typical, what it looks like, what's usually people are spending. And once you get that data, then you can understand, okay, people are going to typically spend this much money. This is what I probably will expect to receive, let's say for an engagement party or for a farmer's market. And then you can make goals from there, right? You can then say, oh, I'm getting a lot of people who want engagement party or a lot of people who want party stuff. I don't have enough room for all these people. So maybe I need to raise my prices a little bit, right? To bring in less volume of people because I'm in such high demand, right? And such high demand for your services. And so I think that's a great lesson to learn, Rowan, is right. Is you're already learning the data you need to understand. And as you do more, you'll get more information to make those steps. So I love that. I think that's a huge part of the process is to the information, right? Information from clients and what you've done already and be able to then go up from there and make plans and goals. I love that.
No, and I've had some clients in the past. They're like, oh, like so sometimes I want to know like what farmers market or where I have stuff, and then they want to go to that versus me just making something for them. So sometimes that's how I'm hired out, is with the client asking where my stuff is at, or so sometimes it's just word of mouth from like a family friend or something, and wherever I'm at is too far, so then I have to make it, but
awesome. I love that. Awesome. Anything else you want to add, Amandine, before we get off?
Just feel aligned with your prices. Don't forget that there is no good or bad positioning. And go ahead. If you think it's too big, but it's at the same time exciting, go ahead, try, and never underestimate you and the value you can deliver, because as a woman, we are already doing that automatically. So go ahead, be bold, and send that quote.
Awesome. Thank you, Amandine. There's so much great insight today on raising your prices and insight from your own business and expertise. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Rowan, for being on with us and everyone on the YouTube streaming. We're so excited to have Amandine on later this month in July. And we can learn more about her. And if you, Amandine's done workshops in the past about branding and luxury brand. Amazing topics. And so make sure you watch her recordings as well. She has a lot, you know, from this workshop, she has a lot of amazing knowledge to share with everybody. So thank you so much for being on.
Thank you.